Hi, I'm Pamela. I'm with EIT Food, and Paul is with Bantani Education. The reason that we know each other and the reason that we're here is because we're part of a consortium working on an EU project, training people, EU citizens in entrepreneurship, right? So this is sort of what we're going to talk about today, is how to revive an EU project with microlearning and the sort of challenges that we've had. And I think Christopher talked a little bit about this, how it's based on EU projects. But the reality is a lot of us are dealing with public funding across the world, right? Whether or not you're dealing with funding from an foundation or US government grant, NGOs are dealing with these sort of funding all the time where we're using public or citizen funding, right? And we need to sort of provide what we said we're going to provide as part of a project. And we're going to go through this slide deck and talk a little bit about where we sort of missed and where we're sort of trying to pivot to ensure that we meet those KPIs and do what we said we're going to do with this project.
Next slide.
Yes, so our big problem is, like I said, we have a project where we have online courses for training entrepreneurs throughout Europe. And these are free online courses that are offered on our platform as part of a European project financed by the European Commission. So what we were trying to do, and this started in 2000. So if you remember back in 2000, this is, unfortunately the height of COVID, but also the height of online learning when people were taking online courses. And this became really big and popular throughout, actually globally. So when we wrote these sort of project proposals, this is the sort of the world we were in. And this world has changed a lot since then. And we'll talk a little bit about that. But so our goal and what the government said we needed was to have at least 400 learners. So what we have right now, this data is from a few days ago, is we have 2,000 enrollments, 2024 enrollments, and 293 course completions. Now that's over 10%. And anyone that's in this sector and works in online courses on an external B2C level, right? You know that over a 10% completion rate is actually considered really good for the industry. I mean, MOOCs traditionally have a 3 to 6% completion rate. Now, this would be okay if we had the level of enrollments that we needed to, but the problem is people have kind of stopped enrolling in the courses, which means they're not going to complete them. But we know people are interested in our content because we also have, as part of this project, weekly webinars on thematic areas that are interesting to people, in particular, our AI Academy. A few weeks ago had 406 attendees. So we know people want our content, but they don't want to take our long form courses. Can we go to the next slide? So what we've decided to do is try this out. We did a lot of research into how people want to learn now, and what people are looking at is different modules of bite-sized learning. And what we were seeing in our research is something like 80 to 90% completion rate. So we thought, how can we take this agile methodology and pivot and completely change this project from massive online open courses to using 7 tabs to provide the same course content, but in a new format. So Paul's he's our tech guru, and he's going to talk a little bit about the problems that we encountered as part of this project and the solutions that we came up with to bridge that gap between what we were providing to the learners and what the learners actually want.
Thank you, Pamela. So in summary, to develop the course, we have 4 core challenges. And first, I think, is a problem that we have all sort of joked about with the Coop team, is that we're starting with a lot of long form content that is detailed reports, maybe lengthy expert interviews. It's all great content, of course, but it's not really suitable for a mobile micro-learning environment. And the next sort of goal wasn't just to chop this content up. We had to come up with some truly impactful material. We need it to be engaging, memorable, and feel relevant to a modern audience that's used to what we're calling high energy content. We also have a problem that, or it might not be viewed as a problem by the EU, but being funded by the EU, they have a fascination of being GDPR compliant. In short, any variance from the GDPR rules is sort of non-negotiable. So we have to meet the highest standard of GDPR. Finally, we also have a problem because of the large numbers of people that are signing up to the course, is that we wanted to have some way of automating the process. Traditionally, with the MOOC content, we had people signing up with the likes of a Microsoft form, and then somebody in the administration would then copy the names into the course to get them people enrolled. So with these four major challenges in mind, we developed what we feel is a creative set of solutions, and I'm going to walk through those with you now. Innovation number one is what we call the TikTok aesthetic. Our first creative challenge was to do with how we take our long form content and extract enough of the vital information into 1 minute limitations. So the challenge we had was that we had multiple sets of long videos in excess of maybe 5 minutes, and in some cases a lot more than that. So we felt that using 7 taps, this kind of didn't fit with the premise, if you like, of 7 taps. And also, of course, we have a locked limit of 1 minute. So our solution was to reimagine the approach for this modern audience. And so the questions that we were always asking ourselves is, how would this look like on TikTok? So we re-edited the content with this aesthetic in mind. The result's kind of a huge success. Everyone we've shown the content to so far really loves it. Examples of this content really would be not just the change from the landscape format into portrait format, but it's distilling the content down into nuggets of relevant course. We embrace jump cuts. That is where suddenly you're talking in this direction and then suddenly jump to another. We felt that even though it appears to be choppy, is kind of the authentic material that our modern audiences are expecting. Innovation number 2 was the in-course podcast. So again, the challenge was delivering significant amounts of expert commentary that exceeded the 7 taps allowance. Now, we need to include a lot of this commentary in the sort of courses that we produce. And so instead of seeing the video limit as a barrier, we actually tried to use it as a creative nudge to make us work harder. So we also cheekily recognize that 7 taps allows 3 minutes of audio as opposed to the 1 minute of video. So we created what we call the in-course podcast, and the course material refers, usually with an avatar introducing the content going forward. And we feel that this is a deliberate pedagogical choice. It allows users to focus on the words, and it felt a lot cleaner than some of the video content that we got, where often we were finding the SMEs going off in directions that we couldn't quite fathom would fit in with the course. So what we did is we stripped the audio from the content and referred to it, as I say, in form of a podcast. Ultimately, we think this reduces the cognitive load and allows for the students to multitask during those podcast sections. And we feel ultimately that it's this intended approach feels like a premium version rather than us trying to get around what the 7 taps does. And then short keeps us in this idea of fast loading, fast, high impact content. Our next innovation was an automated learning campaign. So again, as we've heard with the Coop team, we needed to sort of deliver content in an automatic way. And we wanted to try and deliver in multi-week units in similar, say, to how Coop have previously presented. We also like the idea of getting the students to auto-enroll onto their content. And the solution to all of this came as an epiphany moment, was when we realized that the learning materials that we're sending is very similar to how a person would, how a company would do a marketing campaign. So essentially, we integrated our learning materials not with a learning management system, but with a digital marketing system. Finally, we had the idea that we needed to deliver content regularly. We wanted regular boosts with sharing shareable achievements. So even though the learners were completing the course, their achievements were kind of kept private. And we realized that people are highly motivated to essentially show off. So we looked at using an open badge system. And that can share, or people can then share the content online in LinkedIn and other social media. So how did we go about actually doing this? Well, the first secret weapon for engagement, I think, is CapCut. So CapCut is a video editing tool that is specifically mobile first and clearly aligns with the 7TAPS methodology. It's totally mobile native, and the screenshot here shows you that you can actually do the editing on your mobile phone. It's very fast and very intuitive to use. It embraces the jump cut aesthetic, as I mentioned about before. It's also got captions, which are generally stylish and animated, and again, highly impactful. Ultimately, it's mobile first by design, and it's automatically optimized for the 9:16 viewing, which we have completely embraced in all of our educational development now. We chose the email marketing solution called Brevo. This was because in the first instance, it's hosted in Europe, which ticks the box for our GDPR requirements. But ultimately, it's got some very sophisticated automation. So beyond the drip campaigns that we're all familiar with, it's also got a tool by which people can automatically enroll. And couple that with the sophisticated APIs, which we've linked to our custom delivery system, it meant that we could track when the users completed the course as well as starting, and ultimately give us an enormous set of what a marketer would call campaign statistics. But from what we need is our outputs to confirm to our EU sponsors exactly what we have done on their behalf. Oh, I've forgotten 2 slides. Sorry, apologies. Oh no, that's apologies. Right. The final part of the innovations was to use an open badge system, and we chose Open Badge Factory. We chose it because it kind of gives our learners credible, verifiable recognition of the courses that they've been completed. It kind of naturally links in with LinkedIn, and we feel that it boosts the virality of the course that we're creating, because ultimately it's shared on social media, and our students therefore get to become our marketeers on our behalf. Finally, it's also got the API links that are essential for our auto delivery of the certificates. So our production pipeline is totally hands-free. That's the end of my bit of the presentation. Hopefully I finished broadly on time.
No, that was really great, Paul. And I want to thank you so much to 7TAPS for letting us share this. What we're really engaging with right now is what we call an education action research. So we're trying something new. we've done as much research as we can into what learners want, and we hope we're able to meet their needs with this. Now, we've done a lot of work, Paul has, in sort of integrating different tech tools with the requirements that we have for the project regarding, like he said, these privacy requirements with GDPR, making sure that we have a final assessment and a certificate at the end, and things like this that we have to do as part of the project. But he also mentioned it is a learning experience, and it's created this sort of new way for us to think about how we're going to be applying for projects in the future and what we think learning will look like as we go into 2026 and beyond. So thank you again, Paul. Thank you, 7TAPS. We really appreciate it. And we're happy to answer any questions.
Yeah, no, this has been awesome. So first of all, everybody in the chat, can we get a round of emojis for Paul and Pamela? This was, I love the way you focus on how you pulled a lot of not only just content mediums together, but also the technological pieces, because I think a lot of times it's like, yes, 7TAPS is a fantastic tool, but then how do you get it out to the masses, or how do you incorporate some of these other things, or how do you take some of these existing pieces of content that you have and then thread it all together? So I'm really curious, as you were making this big shift, you incorporated some of these long form pieces in with the short form stuff. What was the response from people? Did you find people gravitated towards this, being able to listen to the podcast type thing? Like, what was some of the feedback that you got initially as you started making this shift?
Well, we've worked with a couple of prestigious universities, actually.
Okay.
And the subject matter experts in that particular case produced half-an-hour episodes, which were interviews with farmers. And these farmers had a tendency, shall we say, to wander off subject.
No way. I can't imagine that these interviews weren't just lockstep.
Yeah. So what I found was, using CapCut, you can get a transcript of the entire content and find the nuggets of information that they were actually trying to communicate. And to a man, everyone seems, and a woman and other, everyone seems to love what we are doing. Not the least of which because we're taking half an hour of content and distilling it down into anything from 45 seconds to a minute. So so far the feedback has been wonderful.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
really interesting. I was going to say, it's really interesting because in the sign up form, so instead of having people that come to a platform and have to engage with the course each time by going to the platform on their computer, now they're using their mobile phone. And when they sign up, they have the choice of the course coming to them weekly or bi-weekly through email, through WhatsApp. We've kind of set it up so that it's this modified modality, not only in how they learn, but also how they receive the content.
Okay. No, I think it's really brilliant. And again, it's not that you're eliminating some of this other stuff. You're just going, hey, we're highlighting, we're emphasizing these components. It's not wasted. If anybody's like, well, aren't you getting rid of all this? No, we're not. We're just really emphasizing and spotlighting the pieces that we think drive the biggest impact. Yeah. And then we also make it available because some people do like to listen to the, longer pieces as well.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we are hosting everything through 7TAPS. So 7TAPS is the inspiration. So the podcasts are no longer than 3 minutes, and the videos are no longer than 1 minute. And I think what's wonderful about this is there's an idea called a beautiful constraint. And again, it's something that we've totally embraced, is that by having the idea of trying to get our content distilled into 1 minute or 3 minute sections, it properly makes the team focus on creating content that is easily consumed, or more easily consumed.